I need you to sign these. I'm marrying Chelsea. The wedding is in 3 weeks.
Naomi Carter, 34, stood at the counter folding a dish towel when Marcus walked in. He didn't look at her. He set his briefcase down, loosened his tie, and pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. "I need you to sign these," he said. She looked at the envelope, then at him. "What are they?" "Divorce papers." The words came out flat, clinical, like he was discussing a utility bill. Naomi didn't move. She studied his face, the same face she'd woken up next to for 8 years. There was no hesitation in his eyes, no regret, just impatience. "You're serious," she said quietly. "I've been serious for months. You just didn't notice." He opened the envelope and placed the papers on the counter between them. A pen rolled out beside it. "I'm marrying Chelsea," he added. "The wedding's in 3 weeks." Chelsea, her best friend since college. The woman who'd sat in this very kitchen 2 nights ago, laughing over wine, asking Naomi how she was holding up with Marcus working late so often. Naomi's hands didn't shake. Her voice didn't crack. "Does she know you're here right now?" Marcus shrugged. "She suggested I get this done tonight. Clean break." He checked his watch. Naomi picked up the pen. She didn't read the papers. She didn't ask questions. She signed her name on every line that required it, her handwriting steady and controlled. Marcus collected the documents, slid them back into the envelope and walked toward the door. He paused. "For what it's worth, Naomi, you'll be fine. You're resilient." Then he left. The door clicked shut. Naomi stood in the kitchen, alone, staring at the place where the envelope had been. What Marcus didn't know, what no one knew, was that resilience wasn't the only thing she had. Sit back and enjoy this story of betrayal, patience, and ultimate vindication. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The next morning, Naomi woke up in the guest bedroom of her sister's apartment. Rachel had picked her up without asking questions, made tea, and let her sit in silence until she was ready to talk. "He's marrying Chelsea," Naomi finally said. Rachel didn't look surprised. "I figured it was something like that. In 3 weeks. Fast." Naomi stared into her mug. "He said I'd be fine. That I'm resilient." Rachel's jaw tightened. "He's a coward. And she's worse." Naomi didn't argue. Her phone buzzed. A text from Chelsea. "Hey babe, just checking in. Heard you're staying with Rachel. Let me know if you need anything, okay? Love you." Naomi set the phone face down on the table. "Block her," Rachel said. "Not yet." "Why not?" Naomi's expression didn't change. "Because I want to see what she says next." Rachel studied her sister carefully. There was something different in Naomi's tone. Something quiet and deliberate. "What are you planning?" "Nothing." But that wasn't entirely true. 3 days after the divorce papers were signed, Naomi received a certified letter. She was sitting in a cafe when it arrived, forwarded by Rachel. The return address was from a law firm in Boston, Whitmore and Associates. She didn't recognize the name. Inside was a single typed letter on heavy cardstock. "Dear Miss Carter, we represent the estate of Mr. Edmund Voss, who passed away on March 14th. You have been named as the sole beneficiary of his estate, valued at approximately $650 billion US, including international real estate holdings, investment portfolios, and private equity assets. Per the terms of Mr. Voss's will, you are required to maintain absolute confidentiality regarding this inheritance for a period of 90 days from the date of this letter. Disclosure of any kind will result in forfeiture of the estate. Please contact our office at your earliest convenience to begin the transfer process. Sincerely, Jonathan Whitmore, Senior Partner." Naomi read it twice. Then she folded it, placed it back in the envelope, and finished her coffee. She called the number that afternoon. Jonathan Whitmore answered on the second ring. His voice was measured, professional, and kind. "Miss Carter, thank you for reaching out." "I don't understand," Naomi said. "I've never heard of Edmund Voss." "That was intentional on his part. Why would he leave me anything?" There was a pause. Mr. Voss was your great-uncle on your mother's side. He spent the last 40 years building one of the largest private real estate empires in the world. He was also deeply reclusive. He believed that wealth should never be inherited by someone who hadn't first learned to live without it. Naomi sat down. He'd been observing you for years, Miss Carter. Not intrusively, just enough to understand who you were. Your character. Your choices. The way you treated people when you had nothing to gain. He was particularly impressed by how you handled hardship. Hardship, Naomi repeated softly. Yes. He believed you were ready. And the confidentiality clause? Also intentional. He wanted you to experience the truth of people's character without the filter of your wealth. To see who they really were when they thought you had nothing. Naomi felt something shift inside her chest. Not relief. Not joy. Clarity. What happens after 90 days? You may do whatever you wish. The assets will be transferred into irrevocable trusts under your control. You'll have access to legal teams, financial advisors, and property managers across 6 continents. Naomi leaned back in her chair. And no one can know until then. Correct. Not family. Not friends. No one. She thought about Marcus. About Chelsea. About the apartment she just lost and the life she was supposed to be mourning. Understood, she said. The first week was the hardest. Naomi moved into a small rental on the edge of town. Modest, quiet, unremarkable. She kept her job at the nonprofit where she'd worked for 6 years, organizing housing grants for low-income families. She showed up on time, filed reports, and said nothing. Meanwhile, Marcus and Chelsea's engagement photos went viral on social media. They were shot in front of a downtown penthouse neither of them could actually afford. Chelsea wore a ring that must have cost 3 months of Marcus's salary. The comments were full of congratulations, heart emojis, and envy. Naomi scrolled through them once, then closed the app. Rachel called that night. Have you seen it? Yeah. Are you okay? I'm fine. Naomi, you don't have to be fine. I know. There was a long pause. You sound different, Rachel said carefully. Calmer. I am. Why? Because I know something they don't. Rachel didn't push. But Naomi could hear the curiosity in her silence. By week 3, Marcus started calling. Naomi didn't answer. He left voicemails. Casual at first. Then annoyed. Then almost frantic. Naomi, I need to talk to you about the mortgage. Call me back. Seriously, this is important. The bank's asking questions. Why are you ignoring me? This affects both of us. She deleted each one without listening all the way through. What Marcus didn't realize was that the mortgage he was suddenly worried about, the one on the penthouse he and Chelsea were living in, was tied to a property trust that had just been quietly transferred into Naomi's control. The payments were still being made. For now. But the clock was ticking. Chelsea reached out too. Naomi, I know this is weird, but I really want us to still be friends. Can we talk? Then a day later. I'm worried about you. People are saying you're not doing well. And finally, Marcus said you're being difficult about some financial stuff. I thought you were better than that. Naomi didn't respond to any of it. She did, however, take note of every message. Every assumption. Every small cruelty disguised as concern. What do you think Naomi should do when the 90 days are up? Drop your predictions in the comments below. On day 47, Jonathan Whitmore called with an update. We've completed the full audit of the estate. You now have controlling interest in over 12,000 commercial and residential properties worldwide, including the building your ex-husband currently resides in. Naomi was sitting in her car outside the grocery store. He's renting from me? Technically, yes. The lease was signed before your inheritance took effect, but the property ownership transferred the moment you accepted the estate. Does he know? Not yet. The property management company is still listed as the landlord of record. But once the confidentiality period ends, you'll have full discretion. Naomi stared out at the parking lot. What else? Your ex-husband also has an outstanding loan co-signed through a subsidiary you now own. It's currently in good standing, but the terms allow for recall under specific conditions. What conditions? Breach of ethics clauses, misrepresentation of assets, or financial insolvency. Naomi felt the faintest pull of a smile. Noted. By day 70, Marcus and Chelsea's wedding invitations went out. Naomi didn't receive one, but Rachel did, and so did half the city. The venue was a historic estate outside Boston, grand, expensive, and showy. Chelsea posted about it constantly. The flowers, the dress, the fairy tale she was finally living. Marcus posted less, but when he did, it was always the same message: moving forward. New chapter. No regrets. Naomi saw every post. She also saw the credit card statements, the loan applications, and the late payment notices that were starting to pile up behind the scenes. Because when you control someone's financial infrastructure, you see everything. On day 89, Jonathan called one last time. Tomorrow's the day, Miss Carter. After midnight, the confidentiality clause expires. You'll be free to disclose your inheritance, take public control of your assets, and make any decisions you see fit. Understood. Do you have a plan? Naomi looked out her window at the small rental she'd been living in for 3 months. She thought about Marcus's voicemails, Chelsea's messages, the smiling photos, and the hollow congratulations. I do, she said. The wedding was scheduled for 6 p.m. on day 91. At 9 a.m. that morning, Marcus received an email from his property management company. Dear Mr. Hale, we regret to inform you that your lease agreement has been terminated effective immediately due to a change in ownership. You have 72 hours to vacate the premises. He called the management office. They referred him to a law firm. The law firm referred him to Whitmore and Associates. By noon, Chelsea received a similar notice. The studio space she'd been renting for her photography business, also owned by a trust now under Naomi's control, was no longer available. At 2 p.m., Marcus's co-signed loan was recalled. He had 30 days to repay $240,000 in full or face default proceedings. At 4 p.m., the venue for the wedding received a cancellation notice. The estate had been double booked due to an administrative error. No refunds. By 5 p.m., Marcus and Chelsea were sitting in their half-packed apartment, surrounded by boxes, unpaid bills, and mounting panic. And then Marcus's phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. Hello, Marcus. It's Naomi. His face went white. Naomi. What the hell is going on? I'm calling to let you know that I won't be attending your wedding. What are you talking about? We didn't invite you. I know, but I wanted to make sure you understood why. There was silence. You see, about 3 months ago, I inherited a rather large estate. I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. Legal terms. But as of this morning, I'm free to act. What estate? The one that owns your apartment. And Chelsea's studio. And the loan you took out last year that you thought no one would notice. Marcus stood up. His hand was shaking. You're lying. I'm not. Check your email. Everything's been documented. Contracts. Transfers. Ownership records. He pulled up his laptop. Scrolled. Clicked. His face drained of color. You've been watching us this whole time? No, Marcus. I've been living my life. You've been living on borrowed time. This is insane. It's business. You said I was resilient. You were right. Chelsea grabbed the phone from his hand. Naomi, please. We can talk about this. We can work something out. There's nothing to work out, Chelsea. You wanted a fairy tale. I'm just reminding you that fairy tales have consequences. Naomi's voice was calm, steady, almost kind. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because you both need to understand something. Loyalty matters. Character matters. And the people you step on while climbing rarely stay down forever. She paused. Enjoy your wedding. If you still have one. Then she hung up. The wedding didn't happen. By that evening, the story had spread. Not because Naomi said anything, but because Marcus and Chelsea's world collapsed so quickly and so publicly that people started asking questions. The penthouse eviction. The studio closure. The loan recall. Reporters picked it up. Influencers speculated. Friends whispered. And slowly, piece by piece, the truth came out. Naomi Carter, the quiet, underestimated woman who'd been cast aside, was one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. She didn't do interviews. She didn't make statements. She simply moved on. 6 months later, Naomi stood in the conference room of her Boston headquarters, overlooking the city. Rachel was with her. You know people are going to keep asking, right? Rachel said. About why you waited. Why you didn't tell anyone. Naomi smiled faintly. Because silence is power. And patience is a weapon. Rachel nodded. What are you going to do now? Naomi looked out at the skyline. Build something better. And she did. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales of justice, patience, and poetic revenge. What would you have done in Naomi's position? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.